Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon. Welcome back to the Disciples of Zeus podcast. My name is Ethan Benstead, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, James Dent. James, how are you doing today?
Quite well, Ethan. How are you doing today?
Mate, I am absolutely brilliant because I have our thought of the day ready to go to present to you. But before that, James, what is your thought of the day?
My thought of the day. Well, I haven't been awake for very long, but one of my first thoughts of the day was how good coffee is and the fact that you can't notice in coffee the difference between light and full cream, but you can notice the difference between full cream and homogenized. That's my thought of the day.
That's a pretty good thought of the day. Mine's a little bit different. I'm still going through my journey of the laws of human nature by Robert Greene, and I was doing a bit of research on one of his laws last night, the law of repression and your inner dark side, and how everyone has this inner dark side within them, and that you should embrace it so then it doesn't dwell and fester for too long. So that's my thought of the day. Let that inner dark side come out a little bit more.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
But moving forward from Robert Greene, which we will get back to eventually, we're actually going to be talking about habits, habit planners today. Something that James and I do daily, or try to do daily, is send each other a list of habits that we have pre-done, ready to go, and we just track them together. James is my accountability partner. I am his. So we just send each other what we've done during the day. And if we don't do one habit for quite a while, we kind of just like check in on each other and see how we can help each other out. But James, what is your, I guess, in terms of your habits, what are you trying to achieve with your habits at the moment?
Yeah, so I try to split life into sort of categories because it's hard to say, I want to have a good life. You need to think, okay, here's what part 1, part 2, part 3 of that look like, and then you can break those down into individual habits. So the simple version is the health, wealth, love, and happiness. So, for health, it's did I eat enough? Did I sleep enough? For wealth, it's did I make money? Did I record a video? All that kind of stuff. For love, that's in the calendar more so than the sorry, something flashed up on the screen. Love is more in the calendar than actually on the habit tracker, but we can talk about calendars as well later. And for happiness, it's did I read a book? Did I practice my instrument? Did I do those things that are important to me and that fulfill me? But how do you think about breaking down your habits? Do you sort of categorize them?
Not really. I mean, I don't have, let me get up my habit tracker now. I don't really have categories for the habits. I mean, I have reading and watching a video on there, which is just more of that self-development thing because I enjoy it. Something I do want to touch on though is that can be a trap if you have those things in there for mental masturbation. Something that James and I have talked about in private conversations, but we'll get back to that a little bit later. Then I guess I have two things which are related to fitness, exercising daily, as well as eating 200 grams of protein throughout the day. And then the last one, which is one from Alex Hormozy, is the first thing that you do when you wake up is check your bank account. Even if the bank account's going to stay the same for a long period of time, it just gets you thinking about your money and what's in your account and how you can kind of just prove it. You kind of have money first thing on your mind in the morning. So I wouldn't say I categorize my habits like you do, but I do have, I guess if you wanted to break them down, you could categorize them if you wanted to.
Yeah, well, now that, as you said that, I just realized probably a better way of categorizing my habit tracker instead of just the way that I think sort of a good life is broken down But my habit tracker is literally the Brandon Carter thing, like money, muscle, mindset, and mindset being like happiness, self-development, all those kinds of things. So yeah, it's all about money, muscle, and mindset, boys. Yeah, let's talk about some of your habits, Ethan. So you mentioned that you have reading and watching YouTube videos. What else is on your tracker? How many do you have?
Well, yeah, I've got 2 for self-development, 2 for fitness, 1 for money, and then the other one is just to send you my tracker every single day. So that is just on there, ready to go. So they're my 5 habits, if you really wanted to call them, that I try and get done on the daily. I used to have more in there, such as meditation, journaling as well, but it got pointed out to me that I was adding more stuff into my daily habits to make myself feel like I accomplished something during the day, which I think is a trap that a lot of people fall into. Like, they want all of the information at once, but when they get all the information, there's so many different views that everyone has. Like, they say, oh, you have to wake up at 5 a.m. to achieve this. You have to meditate for 30 minutes every single day. I think I got to that stage where I had like 12 different things that I wanted to do during the day, and I just stayed in the same place because I did these things every single day, but I still stayed in the one place. I think it's a trap that a lot of people get into when they start in the full self-development journey, and it's a trap that I got into as well. So that's why I've kind of cut it down to things that are most important to me, that I've found that help me grow the most. Have you ever fell into that trap before, James?
Yeah, for sure. So I've mentioned to you before that there's an RPG style habit tracker called Habitica, and it's great and awesome. But the trap that I fell into is, on the app they have like all these different challenges and like these, suggested habits. So like, I would just, instead of scrolling social media, I would scroll Habitica challenges. I'd be like, oh yeah, this one looks great. And then I'd end up, so there's the habit tracker, the to-do list, and the daily tasks. And so I'd end up with like 80 habits, 100 tasks, and literally 1,000 items on the to-do list. And eventually it was like, I just gave up, killed the account, and then restarted. And I found that a lot of the problem was that there were tasks that I didn't really care about, but they just seemed like a cool challenge. So as an example, one of them was like, hey, there's 28 days in February, and there's 28 chapters in the book of Psalms in the Bible. Let's read one a day. And I was like, heck yeah, that seems awesome, man. And then, contrasting that, there'd be one that was like, get in touch with your own spirituality, bro. Get outside, put your feet on the grass, no shoes, no nothing. And I'd be like, yeah, man, that's so cool. And then there'd be one that's like hardcore gym mode. And, all of these things, they have these 20 different tasks. And I would just scroll all day and add probably most of them onto, if I hadn't already got the task, it was like, oh, I need to do this. And that was silly. But where I'm kind of leaning now is anything that I want to have data on is what I'll track as a habit. So I'm using the habit tracker less as sort of motivation or this cool thing just to keep up. But it's more of a thing of if I track it, I'm going to have a reference point for how I'm going on any individual day. And if I get bored, it's like, hey, here's this list of 17 things that I should be doing right now. Let's get onto it. And then, yeah, as I say, I like having the data, looking back and going, oh, I had 6 hours of sleep on this day. And then, 3 days later, I had 500 milligrams of caffeine to keep awake. Well, that means that if I sleep like 6 hours tomorrow, will I do the same thing? And then I do, and I'm like, interesting stuff. But yeah, I have 17 habits that I track at the moment, and of them, I've got 3 that are numbers, and the rest are just like yes, no's. So yeah, I feel like I should add more, but I don't have anything else relevant that I want to keep track of at the moment.
And can you list a few of those habits that you are tracking at the moment? I know obviously you yourself have exercising, same as me, 200 grams of protein, same as me, reading, tracking your money as well. What are you doing differently to me at the moment?
So if we split it, money, muscle, mindset, for money, it's pretty much all the same thing, but I also have the recording aspect of it. So did I record a video today? And that's mostly just to get over the fact of, I get maybe shy is the right word about filming myself and putting myself out there. So did I record a video today, which I'm thinking of changing into, did I publish something today? Then I've got my money dial, which is, did I pick up the phone and call someone and ask them for money, more or less? And I've got the same as you. I keep track of my money on the daily. Very helpful stuff. Then for muscle, as you say, it's exercise, it's stretching is a big one for me. And then I also keep track of how many hours I slept, the quality of that sleep according to my watch, which is not on right now, or just the subjective quality of, when I wake up, how good do I feel? And then I just 1 to 10, multiply that by 10. And doing like cold water, like just cold showers, all that stuff. The classic entrepreneur's morning. And for mindset, it's all pretty much the same thing. For mindset, it's just I have practiced my instrument on there and learned learned German. So that's kind of it. Que no los dos. But yeah.
Why not both?
Exactly. Hey, you should learn German. Yeah. So it's all pretty much the same thing. It's just I'm trying to keep track of more variables. And I'd say partly that's probably because I've been doing it longer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've definitely been through I'm doing this not as a habit tracker, but as like a list of daily chores, which I kind of think is how you're using it at the moment. Correct me if I'm wrong. But now I'm definitely using it more to like track and try to like draw connections between different things. And,
I mean, as you said, you've been doing it for longer than myself. I'm now, pulling, as you said, like using it for more data-driven reasons now. It's just that you have more data because you've been doing it for longer. But for example, something I have been doing for a while has been tracking my weights at the gym. I've been doing that for the past 2 or 3. How long have I been lifting for? 2 years now. Since I started lifting weights, using a tracker to progressively overload each time. So that's been really, really useful to kind of like see where I was to where I am now, just the strength. Also, it's a good reference point to when I tore my ACL as well, because I wasn't able to do gym for a little while after that. And then also the same when I got surgery earlier this year. It's good to see like the trend pattern. It's like a stock graph, right? Went a little bit up and then went down when I tore my ACL, went up afterwards, and then went down once I got my surgery, and now we're back on the uptrend. So that's been really, really good to kind of like look at that. The only other thing that I've kind of been doing recently, and definitely more recent, has been writing while reading, taking more notes when I read.
Yeah.
And also taking notes when I watch a video, so then it's not just mindlessly watching something. Because the videos I'm watching are for self-development, but also like stuff I'm interested in, like psychology, reserve fractional banking, etc., etc., etc. So just like taking notes down, because one day that might be useful to use for something. I don't know. I also just enjoy doing research. So yeah, but that's something that you've definitely helped me out with, was taking the time to actually put more effort into keeping these in there instead of not just having them there as something just to watch. Because most of the time, especially with having YouTube Premium, you can just go off your phone and then start scrolling through Facebook while watching a video. So it's been good to kind of like write and be focused while watching these videos. So I have you to thank for that, Mr. Dent. Thank you so much.
Well, I actually have you to thank for much the same thing. One of the first things, sort of, once we like started talking again, once you got into like, properly got into business and stuff, I sent you a video and I was like, hey man, check this out. And you took a bunch of notes on said video and you sent them back to me. And I was like, dude, this is like the level of effort that is necessary and expected. And so I've been doing a lot more like upfront effort because of you, with things like taking notes and, sending people more than they expect. And so I've got you to thank for that. You're a champion, sir.
I didn't know that, but thank you, James. I very much appreciate that.
I appreciate you.
Moving forward, I do want to touch on something though quickly in regards to habits, and it's something that you brought up with me last week, was mental masturbation in terms of doing your habits. Did you want to give a quick definition of mental masturbation?
I think that it accounts for a lot of things, and it's subjective whether you're doing it or not, but it's basically just, I would put it down to doing shallow and irrelevant tasks that you think you should do to avoid doing the tasks you like, the deeper and relevant tasks that you need to do. Because doing hard work is scary, and it's more or less just the resistance that Stephen Pressfield talks about in More of Art. Like, it's scary doing the real thing. So you do things that are proxies for the real thing, and you can argue, yeah, I'm working. But, really you're just doing whatever it takes to avoid doing the actual work, but still feel accomplished.
It's interesting that you say that, because I feel like last night I went through my journal from like 2022 to 2023, right? And there's some things in there that I'm like, my God, I can't believe like I used to think like that way and whatnot. But I think it was like the start of 2023. I said, want to start a business. I'm doing all of these things to get myself ready. But I think there's so many people that say it, but the most relevant one was Hormozy, saying that you're not going to be perfect when you start. The best thing to do is just start and see where it goes, or something along those lines. So I think that's probably where, because I could research and research and research for the next 3 to 5 years, and I probably still won't think that I'm ready. I think it's just better to start now, which will happen soon, because I have been given an amazing book by Mr. James Dent called $1 Million Weekend, which we will probably do a review on once I'm probably done. I don't know. It's very, very good. I'll probably finish it in like 3-4 days. So
it's a good read. It's a good read.
Do you have anything to add onto that point there?
Well, one thing that's changed in my mind about it is Alex Hormozy again. He's brought to my attention the actual definition of learning, which is, when faced with the same stimulus, you give a new response, or a new or a different response. And I went back and I did a little bit of research, and it's technically, it's performing a conditioned response, not a new response. So it's more of like a practice thing than an actual like learning on its own thing. But when you think of it as, okay, I'm in the same situation in my life, more or less, like it's a different day of the week, but nothing's really changed between yesterday and today.
Mm.
And I've done all this research about, whatever your business is. If you're a dog groomer, you've done all this research about show poodles. And then the question is, like, now that it's today, have you actually done anything different, or have you just changed the name in your Google search bar from show poodles to show Labradors, let's say? Like, the question is, has anything actually changed? And this is, if you're practicing doing it on, like, grooming poodles, then sure, go for it, because the next time that you groom a poodle, it'll be different. But if you are doing this to avoid, like, registering a business, trying to find an office to rent, trying to, get in contact with people that come over and groom their dogs, then it becomes an issue, because you're doing it for the sake of doing it, not because you actually have any reason to. And you're not actually learning anything, which is the other part of it. Because you're in the same situation and you're just performing the exact same response, not a new condition response. But anyways, this is a lot of theory about habits. Let's start turning the theory into practice and action. Ethan, what are some, if I'm a novice, I know nothing about habits,
Mhm.
where do I start, and sort of what are the steps that you would recommend I take to get to a good level?
If I could go back to my younger self in this development journey, I'd kind of ask someone what the three most important things are that they want to learn or achieve, get better at in their life. So if they said, "Oh, I want to be more disciplined, I want to make more money, and I want to start exercising, losing some weight," I probably take the three most important things in their life that they want to achieve and then break those down into three different habits that they can actively get data from and take it from there. So that's probably like where I would start with them, and then further forward, see how they're going, maybe 6, 8 months time. And if they kind of said, "Oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I've kind of like gotten out of this now. I'm going to focus on this." I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, habits are something that you want to make yourself better at, but then once you kind of like develop the habit, or you're not really interested in it anymore, I don't see anything wrong with changing that. So I'd probably give that to a first time person wanting to try habits, because something that I did when I was younger was I forced myself to do multiple habits for a very, very, very long time, which I hated doing, but I thought this is going to make me better. And looking back, it was an hour, 2 hours of my life that for months that I'll never get back. So that's probably what I would say to a first time person doing habits. What about yourself, sir?
Well, the first thing that I would say is, let's download a habit tracker. If you go onto the App Store, there's going to be at least 100 available. Just pick the free one. They're all basically the same. And the first habit that you're going to put on there is to read. And it's just like, yes, I did this. No, I did not. And start by reading Atomic Habits. And then as you're reading that, every day you'll get to tick, yeah, I read today. Yeah, I read today. I think aside from that, because when you read Atomic Habits, that'll get you started. And having the habit of reading, anything else that you want to build a habit around, you'll be able to do it really effectively, because, I should go to the gym as like my next habit, but I know nothing about the gym. Let me read Arnold's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. And then, you can add in your exercise habit, you can add in stretching habit, and you can get there. But I think it all starts with having the habit tracker, having the habit of reading, and then possibly more importantly, having an accountability partner. So if you need to pay for this, go for it. It's not a service that I offer, so I'm not shilling it out. But especially for me personally, like having you as a partner to just like every day I send you my thing, you send me your thing, and it's like if I forget to send you a thing, then you've already sent it to me, and I get that message, and I'm like, oh crap, gotta take the screenshot, send it over. Yeah, and I'm sure that you feel the same way. So,
100%.
Yeah, reading habit. Start with Atomic Habits, and find yourself an accountability partner. It doesn't matter if they're paid. It doesn't matter if they're a friend. They just need to be someone who's reliable and who will, every day send you what they're doing and check in on what you're doing. I think that's probably the most important action steps if you're a total beginner.
I would say, just to add on that point as well, after that initial step, once you have some habits like going to the gym, reading and whatnot, I think it's important to keep at it. And something that you got me onto was you messaged me one day because I was falling down on my habits. I wasn't doing any of them. And you said to me, just read one page of a book, watch 1 minute of a video, and go to the gym for 5 minutes. And I did that. And I was at the gym for an hour and a half. I read 30 pages of the book and watched an entire video. So I think it's important it doesn't matter how much time you spend on the habit, as long as you keep it consistent, then I think you'll achieve the things that you want to achieve.
Yeah, so, I mean, I know you have a habit of reading, but you haven't read Atomic Habits, Ethan, and I can tell. Oh, sorry.
I've read Atomic Habits. It was like, I've read it, and it was amazing. It's the reason why I floss.
Fair enough. The only reason that I said that, and I'm sorry to be so accusatory, is because that's like his main principle in the book, is like, just get it done in the smallest possible capacity. If you improve 1% every day in a year, you'll be 37 times better. So, sorry, I was presumptive. That's my bad. I apologize. But yeah, if you're a noob, don't feel like the reading habit has to be a full book every day. But even if you're advanced, don't feel like it has to be a full book every day, because you're not looking at any individual day. I think, especially in modern culture, there's a lot of emphasis on it has to happen yesterday, if not yesterday, today, and if not today, tomorrow. Otherwise, it's not worth doing or not worth having. But habits are a cumulative thing, and if you're 22 at the moment, just pretend. If you're 22 right now, and it takes 1 year for you to see the results of a habit and become a millionaire or multi-millionaire, whatever, then you'll still only be 23, And you think to yourself, oh, I have to read a book today. And it's like, no, you don't. You have to read so many books over the course of this year. And even then, you're still a millionaire in your 20s, Yeah. It's like that. There's no rush to it. But likewise, Ethan, if I'm, let's say, 6 months or a year into my habit building journey, and I've started to get the gist of it, what recommendations would you have for me now that I'm starting to get the hang of things?
I would say to do a review of where you are now to where you were. If you're on the upward trend, fantastic. If you're happy with your habits, keep doing them. If you want to add more, if you want to get rid of some, great. If you're still in the same place that you were 6-12 months ago, I think it would be a really good eye-opener to kind of see what you're doing in your habits, what may be some form of mental masturbation, and then from there, go the next 6 months and take it from there. That's probably what I would do, and it's what I do as well to kind of see where I am. Hence why 12 months ago, I got rid of 10 of my habits just because I was still in the same place that I was 6 months before that. So I decided to get rid of them and now I'm on the upward. So yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Yes, sir. My perspective on that is if you've been going for 6 months, you'll definitely start to see the rewards of the habits that you're doing regularly. It's like if you've actually exercised every day, after 6 months, you'll definitely start to, blow up, start looking huge. So once you've reached that point and you're starting to see those results, your job now is not to see any amount of results because you're already starting to see them. What you want to start thinking about is maximizing those results. And one way of doing that could just be you add in more habits. Another way of doing that could be you start to make your habits bigger. Like if you are seeing your fitness results because you had a habit of doing, let's say, 30 push-ups a day, maybe you raise that up to like 50, whatever that looks like for you. But one thing that I would strongly recommend, and I say this having done it having not done it for years, and now wishing that I had, is start tracking habits not as yes or no, but as like volume or quantity of thing done. So probably the most obvious example would be like, instead of having a yes/no habit of did I read today, having a habit of how much did I read today. As long as you're aware of that like whole mental masturbation thing and you're not like just reading for the sake of reading, it's obviously better. It's twice as good if you read 2 pages instead of 1 page, and then you can start seeing data on how much you're actually reading and you can gamify it a bit more, sort it out. But I think getting to that point, like that first 6 months is the hard part. And then after that, you're already seeing the results. It makes it a lot easier to keep going. And you just need to think about how you're going to optimize it and try and maximize those results so we can expedite your balling.
I like that.
Absolutely.
I like that. Well, before we close off for today's episode on habits, do you have any other final things to say regarding habits?
We will do a part 2 on this episode. I'm certain of that. But as of right this second, I feel like I've said just about what I have to say. The only other thing that I would say is that you need to start today because, as I mentioned, it is a compounding thing. And while you're not going to see results today, the longer that you're compounding for, the more effective that the compounding is. So start yesterday. If not yesterday, start today. And then if not today, tomorrow. And then you'll see lots more results. And, you're probably in a habit of procrastinating on something. So let's get you into the habit of doing things instead. Your final thoughts, Ethan?
I'm going to finish this off with a Chinese proverb.
Ooh.
The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Plant your tree today and watch it grow for the next 20 years, and I guarantee you'll see results. My name is Ethan Benstead from the Disciples of Zeus podcast. With me, as always, was James Dent. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment on this one here if you enjoyed it. Please let us know what you think of this new style that we're trying at the moment. And James, I will see you on the next one. Take care, mate.
I'll see you on the next one. Take care.